Hi, I'm Andrew De Vries, real estate broker and founder of Probate Agent Real Estate Services. I founded this company 25 years ago to work with family and professional fiduciaries throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. As part of my ongoing commitment to education, today is going to be our second expert interview, and we have a renowned Bay Area attorney, Liza De Vries. Full disclosure, Liza De Vries is also my wife of 27 years this year, which has been an honor and a joy in my life. Liza is an expert in elder financial abuse, among other areas of litigation. Liza represents the interests of elders, people with disabilities, consumers, and children who have suffered from wrongdoing by those who abused their position of authority. So I'd like to introduce Liza. Liza, thank you so much for being here today.
It is my pleasure to be here.
So Liza, can you give me a little bit of an overview of your business, De Vries Law PC, and who you really work to help out?
Absolutely. I began my practice as an attorney to advance the interests of children, elder, and people with disabilities. I spent about 17 years devoting 50% of my practice to civil rights litigation and 50% of my practice to elder abuse litigation. Then I launched my own law firm in 2020. And since that time, I have continued my dedication to advance the causes of people who can't speak for themselves. That would be elders, children, and people with disabilities. And the way we do it is we assess the entire situation of the person who needs protection. And oftentimes, that situation requires a protective proceeding before we can go after the bad guy.
What is a protective proceeding?
A protective proceeding is something that can be established where the elder, the child, or the person with a disability can become the ward of a court. And that in that instance, the court then ensures that the child, the elder, or the person with a disability is fully protected. It could come in the form of a conservatorship, a guardianship, or something else.
Okay, wonderful. So you work to get the court involved, and the ultimate goal here is to create a mechanism that protects, in our case, what we're talking about today, the elder, if, say, for instance, there was financial abuse or real estate situations going on.
It could be an elder, it could be a child. I actually have a current case right now with a guardianship where I represent the interests of a child through a guardian of a state, and the primary asset of the guardianship is real property.
Okay, great. That's a great point. So it's not just elders, it can be minors and other folks that have a guardianship or may need a guardianship as well. So the specific focus of our interview today is elder, and it sounds like it could be guardianship abuses and scams. And we're going to relate it specifically to real estate as much as we can, obviously, because I'm a real estate broker, and that's what this channel is about. So, Liza, from your perspective, what are the most common ways you see seniors or other folks either become involved in a scam or lose real estate in a scam or some sort of manipulation?
There are many flavors. So, one common situation is that the elder executes a deed without completely understanding the meaning of the document or the execution. The elder could also be executing loan or other documents that encumbers real estate without completely understanding what they are signing or the impacts of it.
Okay, so makes sense that folks, if they, well, they shouldn't be signing things they don't understand. And often, I'm assuming there's some sort of undue influence that could be going on in some of these signings. So, who are the typical bad actors in these cases? Are they strangers? Are they people already in the seniors or young folks' life? Where do you see them coming from?
You know, the bad actor can be a third party. The bad actor most commonly is somebody close in the family or a lover, or at least a sweet young thing. Or the bad actor can also be oftentimes a caregiver.
Wow. So it is often somebody that we know. Liza, can you define for folks that aren't aware when you use the term sweet young thing? What does that kind of a scam look like?
You know, I had one crazy case where the sweet young thing wasn't so young, and he actually met the elder through Match.com. And he had a scam going where he would actually convince women, elder very wealthy women who get involved with him romantically and then start funding loans for him or guaranteeing them. And all of a sudden, the elder's saddled with incredible amounts of debt and completely valueless properties. So, the Match.com scheme was really incredible in that this particular elder was an extraordinarily refined and elite woman who lost her husband. I think one of the most typical scenarios for elder abuse where I've seen real property be stolen from elders is a combination of three things. First, the elder recently lost their spouse.
They're lonely. They're
So
they're
in
looking
that
for
scenario,
they're vulnerable, looking for something.
they're
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
vulnerable. Um, Second, the elder has what we refer to as diminished capacity. So diminished capacity could be a spectrum. It could be they don't quite understand things the way they used to, and it's just maybe some of the normal aging process of the brain where maybe you forget your keys. But oftentimes it's something much more than that. The elder is desperate to mask their diminished capacity, and everyone around them knows the elder. So they will always talk about the same topics. So there's no actual obvious proof that the elder has diminished capacity to the point that protections are needed. And unfortunately, in that situation, the elder doesn't actually understand any kind of transaction they may engage in. And then the third scenario is where there's just a complete scam, where there's fraud and there's undue influence. And that's a very common situation where whoever is trying to convince the elder to get away from all the people in their life who would otherwise protect them lies about who those other people are, what they're doing, and typically it's the one who has his hand in the cookie jar eating all the cookies who's saying everyone else is eating the
Right.
cookie.
Okay. So just to jump back on that once more, Liza, it sounds like you kind of see three common scenarios that play out in these types of scams. And could you, in a nutshell, kind of go through those three stages that you are observing?
Sure. The first stage is most commonly the elder has just lost a longtime spouse. So they're dealing with grief and depression, and all of a sudden they're very lonely, and predators take advantage of that loneliness. Second is a situation where an elder's capacity has waned, and whether that's because of a medical diagnosis of dementia, Alzheimer's, or something else, their capacity is compromised. And in that scenario, most people around the elder who've known them for years and years don't recognize it because elders want to mask their diminished capacity so nobody will think they're stupid, which of course isn't the reality, but that's what
Right,
they
right.
fear.
It's the same thing we carry with our whole life. Nobody wants to look stupid. And then when you start feeling diminished capacity, you're going to try to hide it.
Exactly. And then, of course, the third scenario is the sweet young thing. So it's often combined with the first or the second scenario. So the sweet young thing could be someone you meet on Match.com. It could be a caregiver, or it could be a neighbor, a mechanic, a roving, landscaper. We've seen the gamut.
Right, right. So it's usually somebody who's younger, may or may not be attractive, hence the word the sweet young thing, who unfortunately may have nefarious intent with the elder over time. Is that right?
Absolutely. Well, the elder doesn't think so. The elder thinks the sweet young thing actually has an interest and maybe even not romantic. Maybe it's just a companionship, but it's an interest in the elder. And of course, the sweet young thing has an interest in the elder's
Right.
money.